Right. So, you are asking me when the RC words are difficult, how to navigate that. See, first of all, one thing that I've always told you is that there may be, let's say, 10 difficult words in a 300, 400 word RC passage if it is extremely difficult, right? However, not all 10 actually are going to be relevant for you, isn't it? Not all 10 are going to be relevant for you. So, yeah, our team keeps bombarding me with messages. Right. So you have to focus just on those, let's say, two, three words that may be instrumental to your understanding of the rest of the sentences that come. Right. Now, that means, first of all, I am unnecessarily worried about those seven other words. I don't have to be. Okay. Maybe there is no question based on them. Maybe I have a rough understanding of them, and that is enough. Unless, let's say, a vocabulary question has been asked later on, which is rare, right, from RC passages. Now, about the other three words, try to grasp the meaning from the surrounding words as much as you can, right? From the sentence that came before it, from the sentence that is there afterwards, and have this broad understanding कि बात किस चीज की हो रही है, right? What is it that we are talking about right now? That will give you a clue, that will clue you into at least some approximate meaning, and more often than not, that is enough, right? To give you an example, last year we had a passage on eudaimonic life, right? So eudaimonic is a word that is not something that's used very often in our day-to-day life. But the passage, first of all, tried to give a meaning of the word itself. The passage tried to explain it. And even if a student did not understand it, the sentence just before it talked about a good life. So you got a rough idea, okay, a eudaimonic life is perhaps something related to a good life. And that's all that was required last year as well, right? So I hope this makes sense to you, right? This helps you. If RC is difficult, could it be one RC, then go to other types of questions and then again come to the next RC? So LP, the first thing that I recommend is that attempt all the vocabulary, grammar, and parajumble questions, right? Then out of your 4 RCs, you should always prioritize. All these things are there in my slides today. Let me just come to them one by one. Okay, all these things are there. So I'll talk about RCs in detail. I'll talk about all the question types. So these have been the changes so far, and I think you are all aware of these, right? You are all up to date about these. So if in case you have any queries regarding this, you can ask. Otherwise, we can proceed to the topic-wise tips, which is what you are interested in, right? Now, order of attempts. So as I told you, that go for the shorter questions first, always, right? Vocabulary, grammar, parajumbles, these are shorter questions. They are more scoring also. They are time saving. And in fact, if you ask me right after this, I go for critical reasoning. After these questions, I go for critical reasoning because again, they are shorter paragraphs. So my aim is to go from short to long when it comes to VLR, right? So this would be my topic-wise tip for you. Okay. Next. Next. Mm, yes. So let's have a look at an example. The timer is running right now. Let's see in how much time you solve it. Okay. I'm giving you 1.5 minutes. Start. Let's see what you say. Okay, I've already got my one answer after a minute. Okay. Last 30 seconds. All right. So, see, in 1.5 minutes, all of you have been able to answer this, isn't it? In 1.5 minutes, all of you have been able to answer this. And the exam is providing you 2.3 minutes per question. So even if you answer this in 1.5 minutes, that's still time saved, which you can contribute to, let's say, your other sections or your RC. So the point that I was trying to make through this was that when you go for shorter questions, you benefit. Okay, you save your time and it gives you confidence. Okay, I'm already done with at least these many questions, right? So C, D, A, B, I've got all the options in response. Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this. Before this, let me just reduce the screen size a little. It's just unnecessarily large. The video size. Just give me a second, huh? I don't know. All right. I think this is fine. So, see how to approach this type of question. Absolutely. I'll show you the approach. That's the aim behind this question. See, vocabulary question. So now see here. I was talking about this in RCs also, no, that look at the context, look at the surrounding words, and they'll give you some idea. So here also the same thing is going to happen. Coral reefs are one of the most biologically complex and diverse marine ecosystems on Earth. This ecosystem, now see, I'm talking about that the fact that they're complex, the fact that they are diverse, right? This ecosystem is one of the paradoxes of the biosphere. So it's something that's paradoxical. How do clear and thus nutrient poor waters support such and productive communities? Right. So there are certain words that I've highlighted here, and they will actually provide me the clue as to what should come in the blanks. Let's have a look. Now, let's see this one. And productive communities. Productive, something that produces things efficiently, productive, right? So, exuberant, wealthy, do these fit better? Or will something like fruitful, prolific, this fit better? Fruitful again is related to productive, producing, right? Fertile. Prolific again, something that produces in large amounts, that is prolific. Close knit is not really a similar idea to productive. So I am inclined to be biased towards A and B based on my third blank's clue, right? Similarly, when I say paradoxes, so this is a sort of a paradox that's perhaps surprising me in a way. How do clear and nutrient poor waters support such communities? So sensitive paradox, not really. Why sensitive? What's so sensitive about this paradox? Okay, so you see, I am left with just one option on the basis of these two blanks. Even if, let's say, at this stage you are not sure, see, on the basis of the second blank, I can again eliminate D. Unrecognized. When you don't acknowledge something, that's when you don't recognize it. So, unrecognized, eliminated. Right? Deep, they are the most deep, one of the most deep. First of all, most deep is incorrect. It should be deepest. So on that basis itself, I become very suspicious of C. So there were easy clues that were given to me in this paragraph, in this close test, on the basis of which I could very easily eliminate and mark the answer as B. So I'm happy those who marked B. Now I have some queries here. So how to approach, okay, fine. Wealthy suits too. You say that such wealthy and productive communities. See, when I say wealthy, that's associated with money usually, affluence, right? So don't you think that fruitful and prolific, they are any day better than wealthy communities? Okay, and moreover, we are talking about coral reefs. So how is it related to money in any way? So I don't think that wealthy fits better than prolific and fruitful. Prolific, see, these communities, this is life that we are talking about, right? So they are producing things. So it's not really a personification as such. Okay, it's an ecosystem. Ecosystem में तो life produce होती है literally. So I'm not personifying anything here, right? So no, this is not a past year question. We've already done with a lot of past year questions. However, this is very similar to what has been asked in the past years. So it's a fragile, something that's very not so strong, right? It's frail, frangible. These could fit here. Frail also could fit. Fragile could also fit. That's why I didn't go through the first blank, right? I went through the third blank because there the words were pretty different from each other, right? Fragile could fit. Frail could fit. What is frangible? Frangible, something that can be divided into fragments. That is frangible, right? Exuberant, when you are pretty enthusiastic and happy about something, that's when you ooze exuberance, right? That is exuberance. All right. Would you recommend doing VRC in one shot or doing it in 2 rounds to avoid mental fatigue? A very good question, Gaurang. So, see, I usually go for it in one shot. Why? I'll give you the reason. Something that's there in the coming slides also, but let me give it to you here itself. Because I don't want to leave my RCs for the very end. I don't want to do that because by that time I'll be completely exhausted, isn't it? So reading towards the end does not make sense. Then I don't even want to start with the DM section. That's me, right? Some students may want to start with it. I don't. So DM goes in the middle. I don't want to leave RCs for the very end. So that means QA perhaps comes towards the end. So for me, VALR comes in the beginning. Okay. At the most, I can do this that, okay, I go to vocab, grammar, PJ here, then probably do a bit of DM, then come back to the RCs. But to me, this is also reading paragraphs. This reading RCs is also like reading paragraphs. Moreover, the passages in XAT, they are very CR based. Similarly, decision making is also again me applying my critical reasoning. So I don't see much difference there. So I complete it in one shot. In case you feel that you get unnecessarily fatigued if you do it in one shot, if that has happened with you in the mocks, then you can, hop a little. You can, let's say, go for vocab, grammar, pages, the shorter questions first, do a bit of QA, perhaps some easy questions, then return to RCs. Okay. Or then do a bit of DM and then return to RCs. So you need to work out what works for you. For me, a section wise approach works better. So that's what I stick to. Okay. All right. Gautam, in such questions, then try your level best to eliminate. If you are able to narrow down to two options, if that is the case, so for instance, here, right in the beginning, I could eliminate and I could narrow down to two options. And after comparing the words, you feel that okay, 60% is the probability that this is the answer and 40% this is the answer, then mark the answer. Okay. Otherwise, if you're not even able to narrow down to two options, then don't make completely wild guesses. I don't recommend that. Okay. Use grouping and elimination as I just told you. What I was doing here was grouping and eliminating, right? Grouping on the basis of the context. All right. Let's come to the RC passages, something that a lot of you again are troubled by. Yes. So RC passages, four of them, if they come again, if the number remains the same tomorrow, which is likely to be the case, please prioritize. Okay. To give you an example, last year, of course, we had four passages. Two of them were on these really interesting topics, stupidity and bullshit. Of course, I attempted these two first. The others were on publicness of life, public life. Okay, something by Hannah Arendt. And then there was one about the eudaimonic life. What is a good life? What constitutes a good life? So these I attempted later on. I prioritize these two first. Why? Because very interesting topics, easy language. So, and plus all of them had what? 3 questions each. So it wasn't like one passage carried 6 questions and the other had just three. That also wasn't the case. So of course I prioritized them. Also, don't pick up RCs at the very end, as I just told you. At the very end of the paper, don't do that. Pay attention to the length of an RC passage. See, last year they were almost all of them were of similar length, but that may not be the case every year. So that has been known to ask some very short RCs also and some long RCs also. So in case all of them, let's say, have 3 questions, one of them is long, tedious to read also, not very interesting, difficult language. Of course, I'll not prefer this one right in the beginning, right? ये मैं first RC तो नहीं करूँगी definitely. So pay attention to the length as well, right? Okay. Mm, I think I'm fairly proficient, but I seem to struggle. ठीक है, okay, answered. Let's keep it real as asked a very interesting question. If anybody has the answer to this, please address it. they are denser. Agreed, Gaurav. They are denser, of course. And sometimes, I mean, lengthier also, right? I haven't seen DM sets to be 400, 500 words. Okay, so lengthier also on the basis of context or type of questions. They be, see, uh, type of questions, almost all your passages are going to have inference questions only, right? Conclusion questions, further application questions. So indirect questions, almost all your passages are going to have. Moreover, see, even a direct question can be difficult because of the options, and even an inference, an indirect question can be easy because of the options. So you can't really judge just by looking at the question stem whether this passage has easy questions or difficult questions. That judgment can't happen. So that's why I never go on the basis of the types of questions in that. Right? All of them are going to be indirect, plus it's the options that decide if it's difficult or easy. So go on the basis of the topic and the language, level of language. समझ में आ रहा है easily या नहीं आ रहा? Okay. All right then. Poem comprehension. So do not follow an all or nothing approach in poems. I think I addressed this in the session on that poems. That see, decide it there. Okay, if you feel that okay, poem easy lag rahi hai. Question is also what is the essence of this poem. That means it just relies on an overall understanding of the poem, right? It's not asking you something really specific in a difficult poem. As long as that's not the case, it does not make sense to completely leave it, right? I told you, अगर 3 के marks मिल रहे हैं, we'll definitely take them. So don't follow an all or nothing approach that I'll attempt all of them or I'll not attempt any of them. Don't go with this preconceived notion. Okay. All right. Ashwin, I read the RCs first. I read the RCs first. Okay. Why? Because most of the questions, again, pick up your previous year paper. I'm sure you must have seen it. Most of the questions were of what nature? Which of the following can be concluded from the passage? So just reading the question stem, when the question is of this type, which of the following can be concluded from the passage? How does it help me? It does not help me. So rather go for the RC first, and then only you will be in a position to actually decide which of the following can be concluded from the passage. Okay. Uh, Devansh, is absolutely okay as long as your accuracy is about 75%. And I mean, इतना accuracy अगर है, then it's absolutely fine. Okay, ऐसा नहीं कि 50% आ रहा है और let's say it's even lower. Then I would not recommend. Okay, because 50% maybe, see, that means you get 13 correct, but then those 13 that are incorrect, okay, उनका आपका 1/4 हो रहा है. So that will be 3 point something negative. So if you're aiming just to clear the cutoff, then you, with a 50% accuracy, you can attempt everything. But I would not recommend it as such. Why waste time also, right? You'll be spending time in attempting 26 questions. So 50% accuracy would be a less. 75% by all means, you can attempt all the questions. Right. Mm, that's okay, Shyam. So tomorrow, keep this as your focus that you go for vocab, grammar, PJ, and CR first, right? In RCC, I'm sure you must have practiced some for CAT. So in RCs, choose the easier ones, prioritize, okay, and try to get maximum accuracy there. Okay, that would be my recommendation. All right. Now, I've observed that in the past year papers, giving us leeway to eliminate 3 options directly, the last 2 ambiguous. So Gaurav, that's something that every entrance exam likes to do, every good entrance exam, right? So in that, students usually crib that okay, there are 5 options, but you know what I feel, that they make sure that you're able to eliminate 3 of them pretty easily. So it just takes a couple of seconds more to eliminate that one extra option, nothing more than that. As far as these two are concerned, that is something that CAT also does. The 2 options are going to be close. This is where all your practice, all your judgment, all your hard work comes into picture. Okay, if you've practiced enough XAT RCs, if you've practiced enough CAT RCs, you develop this judgment as to which is closer to my passage. because I always have to stick to my passage. I don't have to rely on my personal opinion, but rather the author's opinion, the author's stance, the author's tone. So whichever option is closer to that, author ka opinion, author ka tone, that is going to be my answer. Always be on the lookout for extreme words, right? Always, definitely, proves that. So unless and until my passage is proving something, my option cannot say proves that. So anything that appears to be, we have this acronym, no? Vague, right? Anything that appears to be too broad, anything that is alien, not there, anything that is too extreme cannot be your correct answer. Okay, so eliminate on the basis of that, right? Now, time management tips. Let's come to time management, and I'll keep addressing your queries also. Don't worry. So, if your VALR is strong, I think if you attended Gautam sir session 10 days to that, so he also addressed this there, that that's when you can afford to give 70 minutes to VALR. If quant is strong, you can actually afford to give that much time to quant, but I mean because my VLR is strong, so I end up prioritizing VLR there, and I end up giving more time to this section, right? If it is not strong, then 45 to 50 minutes. Now, some of you must be wondering how is it that I am going to squeeze my attempts in 45 to 50 minutes if, let's say, some students are taking 70 minutes, because you may not be attempting as many number of questions as these students, one thing. Okay, and secondly, you may be choosing again the shorter questions more. You may be focused on clearing the cutoffs and maximizing your score from QA. So that's how you automatically will reduce your time to 45 to 50 minutes. If you need a tentative breakup, so this is what I did on the basis of last year's paper. Okay, I'm just going to show you that if all the questions are of the type that were there in XAT 2022, how you could divide your time. Vocabulary, grammar, PJ, they had 7 questions. This should not take you more than 10-11 minutes. Okay, so should not take you more than 10 to 11 minutes, 1.5 minutes. All of you just did that in 1.5 minutes, right? That vocab question that I showed you. Then critical reasoning, even if you take 3 minutes per question, then also it will come to 12 minutes. Poem, let's say you deliberated on those 3 questions, you decided to attempt just 2, but you took your own sweet time there, then also 6 minutes. And then if you decide to do all the RC passages, something that a student for whom VLR is a strength will do, something that I do, then you will need, and in this, again, this is a very comfortable amount of time. Okay, 36 to 40 minutes. Again, you are giving approximately 3 minutes or more than that. Okay, including your reading time. So this is how, students who maximize their score in VLR take or end up taking 70 minutes. Okay. All right. How about 45 minutes? And then I'll address your queries. I know there are a lot of them in the chat box. See, this remains the same because even if a student is targeting to clear the cutoffs, these are the scoring ones. So यहाँ पर तो time spend करना है. In CR, the student may not attempt all the questions and automatically that will reduce the time. Similarly, in RC passages, may not attempt all the questions and automatically that will reduce the time. Poem again, 3 questions, even if you attempt 2 of them, you take your own sweet time, then also it's going to be 6 minutes only. So that's how you can very smartly break your time up, okay, and you won't need to worry about time in the exam. Okay. All right, now let's come to the chat box. A lot of queries here. Sectional wise cutoff. If we just make an edge. So what will be our overall percentile? Our overall percentile in that case, I think again, see, just go to that 10 days to that session. So what you are essentially saying is 9, 10, 9, 9, let's say. So that's 27 marks, right? So just go to the 10 days to that session, because there Gautam sir showed you that table, no, 99 percentile kitne marks par tha, kitne marks par tha. So if you are scoring a 27, 28, you can see what your percentile accordingly is there, right? I'll also tell you in a while. I'll just need to open that PPT, right? Okay. Parajumble questions, Ayush, they are not very difficult in that. Okay, so Ayush is asking about parajumbles. Let me assure you, parajumbles इतने difficult होते ही नहीं हैं. Why? Because you have options. Okay, you will again observe three of them are easy to eliminate. It's just two of them that are going to be very close. So, for instance, 3, 5, 4, 2, 1 versus 3, 5, 2, 4, 1. So here you just have to realize displacement. Okay, so read your paragraph well, look for the clues the way you've been attempting parajumbles. If you've practiced for CAT, this should not be difficult for you at all. Okay, so eliminate, right? Take the help of options. Don't solve completely through options, but take their help. So for instance, if there are 5 options, 2 of them have 3 as the opening sentence and 3 of them have 2 as the opening sentence. So that gives you a clue, no? Either 2 or 3. Read karo dono ko. And if let's say you realize that 3 is the opening sentence, 3 options go away automatically just on the basis of one sentence. So just apply these few smart tricks that you've been doing for various non-CAT exams and pages are sorted. All right. Okay. So there's an example there. Now let me address another query before we move. After attempting all the sections, if there is still time left, in that case, Yash, you can check, okay, the questions that you found difficult, or there must have been some questions that you may not have attempted, right? You can try and attempt those questions, right? So in case you found some questions difficult and you're doubtful about your answers there, just cross check them. Then in case you did not attempt some questions but you feel that if you give them a shot sincerely, thoda sa soch kar ho sakta hai, unko attempt kar lo, right? So do that. That's how you utilize it. If it's just 5-10 minutes that are left, then just relax, right? So this is what you can do to utilize your time. Okay, so let's attempt a question. Again, it's a grammar question now and 1.5 minutes just to show you that here the time is more or less constant. Okay, it's 10-11 minutes that you'll take for the shorter questions. Let's see. Find the correct sentence. Okay. All right. See, quite a few of you have already answered. It's just been 1 minute. So this is what I love about that. A lot of time, right? Even if you attempt it in 1.5 minutes, you have still saved time. Okay, you've still saved zero point 0.8 of a minute, right? Which you can utilize elsewhere. Okay, I've got E also. E is also popular. All right. B versus E it is. B versus E. So, he was having a difficult time. Okay, this is fine. This part seems fine. But never, not. So, if you see, at the very beginning of this sentence, see, this is a conjunction that is joining these two sentences, isn't it? But is a conjunction that is joining these two sentences. What really is this sentence? Never once he complained. Is this a correct sentence? Never once he complained. When our sentence begins with a negative word, never, not, hardly, barely, rarely, these are negative words, okay? Then something very curious happens. What is that curious thing? That we need to put a helping verb, we need to put a verb first and then the subject. This is called subject verb inversion. Subject verb inversion. That's what we call it in grammatical terms. So here this is not happening. It's the subject verb structure which will be wrong here, considering that my sentence is starting from a negative word. So ये order गलत हो गया, right? Then if you look at this, he never once did he give the complaint. Why to say he give the complaint, right? Why to unnecessarily elongate this? Not once any complaining happened. Again, a very redundant structure. But not once he complained, okay. But never once he complained. But never once did he complain. Now, do you see? Here, what I've done is I've put a helping verb, did, then the subject. So this is the only sentence where the subject verb inversion is happening, and this is the correct structure, because the others, they have the subject first and the verb later, which becomes wrong when my sentence starts with a negative word. Okay, hence B and not E. All right. Okay, then now let's have a look at some more queries here. After attempting, okay, RC passages selection should be decided on the basis of the complexity of the passage, Sangmesh. I've addressed this earlier also. Okay, questions you can't decide without looking at the options whether a particular question is difficult or easy. And if you look at your previous year paper, most of the questions were of the type, what can be concluded from the passage? Okay, so that doesn't give you a lot of clue about the difficulty level of the question. Okay. Now, coming to the next thing, you just need a broad time management when it comes to that, a broad time management, because it's not a speed-based test, it's rather an accuracy-oriented test. Focus on your accuracy. You know, I love this about that you have time to actually deal with a question at ease, right? Even if you give me something difficult, but you give me ample time to do it, that takes away a lot of pressure already, right? I can actually focus on accuracy बहुत तसल्ली से, as we call it in Hindi, right? So I am not worried about the timer there, but yes, of course, I don't ignore it completely, because you have to have a very rational division that, okay, this is the time that I have allotted to DM. So let's say 70 here, okay, 40 here, and the remaining in QA, DM is being my middle section, right? So don't ignore it completely, but don't be obsessed with it. You need not be, right? Okay. Commonly misused words. You mean common confusables, right? There is no PDF for it as such. One student is asking about common confusables. See, usually we teach it in our sessions. Okay, so in our paid sessions with our enrolled students, we have a whole session called common confusables, where we've compiled material from various sources. I don't think there is one source that can give you all the commonly confused words. That will be tricky. You can Google, okay, just search online. Maybe there is some website that is giving you the commonly confused words. I don't know if any one PDF or source that can give you that. Okay. Suggestions for decision making. Okay. So, in decision making, see, again, the first step the first step should be that you should aim at clearing the cutoffs. Everybody, even for someone for whom DM is a strength, right? Just be sure at least about some questions, right? Then after that, don't get stuck in DM. Sometimes, even when this exam allows a lot of time to you, there is a tendency to get stuck in DM questions because of the closeness of the two options, or because we are not never quite sure about what is the answer. So my only suggestion here will be, don't get stuck. If you are, let's say, not able to decide between two options at all, just leave that question and proceed. Okay, you will still have a lot more questions, right? 22 questions हैं, तो ऐसा नहीं होगा कि सब में you are not sure, right? So if, let's say, in 5 questions this has happened with you that you're not quite sure, don't worry about those 5 questions so much that you compromise the other questions. Also, whenever you attempt a DM question, always remember that a decision should be ethical. Whatever answer choice that you mark should be an ethical answer choice. It should not be a very extreme decision that you suggest, right? Anything that is too extreme is automatically rejected. So it should be ethical, it should not be extreme, it should be something that is logically sound. out of the given options. Sometimes you might feel कोई भी option इतनी logically sound है ही नहीं. So in that case, eliminate, right? So it should be logical, not too extreme, a middle path approach. It should be ethical. It should address the problem at least, right? It should not be something that does not address the problem at all. I think that's a very important concern. As long as these criteria are being satisfied, you are good to go. The answer that you've marked is fine. So don't think a lot. Don't overthink in your DM section beyond a point, right? That's the only suggestion from my end. Now, okay. Let's come to some section wise tips, and before that let me see. CUET, we'll talk about it later on. Okay, right now this is that session. Okay, more than 80 percentile in English in my mocks. So Ayush, what about the other sections? See, that's the beauty of that um, you have to, of course, clear the sectional cutoffs there, that is there, but then you can maximize your score in the area of your strength. So in case QA happens to be your strength, please don't fret about scoring a 99 percentile unnecessarily in VLR. Of course, if you score it, nothing like it. But then, अगर वहां पर compensate कर पा रहे हो आप in QA, then don't worry a lot about this. Okay. This is my suggestion. I remember one student said that, if I start with DM, then only it works for me. In case that is the case with you, please don't pay heed to it. Please don't pay heed to what I'm saying. But for most of my students, this is what I've observed, that if they start with DM, they end up spending a lot of time there, wasting a lot of time. Okay, which is why I suggest that don't start with it. Okay, you start with something like VLR, like QA, okay, which is relatively more objective than DM, and then keep it in the middle. That's something that will work. Don't keep RCs for the very end, something I suggested earlier as well, repeating it here. ये मत सोचो कि उसको बिल्कुल एंड में जाके अटेम्प्ट करेंगे, even for somebody for whom VLR is not a strength. Right? So this was about various sections. Okay. I analyzed most of the RC answers go wrong. So do you recommend attempting RCs? Sanskriti, see. If again assuming that 7 questions come from vocab grammar PJ, 4 questions come from CR, 3 from poem, and the remaining 12 from RCs, right? So in this case, let's say you attempted all of these. Okay, so you relied on CR and on this vocab grammar, etc. Right? That's 11 questions. But then in these 11 questions, I'm not going to get 100% accuracy usually, right? So if I get, let's say, an 80% accuracy, because I have practiced a lot for them, then also it's 8.8. Now, I am not saying that you may not be able to clear cutoffs at this, but then aim for at least a 10, right? We aim for at least a 10. So in my opinion, a bit from poems and a bit from RC is needed. थोड़ा सा इनमें से एक में से तो एटलीस्ट चाहिए मुझे, राइट? सो what I would recommend is pick up the easiest RC out there, pick up the easiest RC out there and try to maximize your accuracy there, right? Or pick up, let's say, 2 easy RCs and instead of attempting all 3 questions, you can be a little selective. एक में से 2 कर लिया, एक में से 1 कर लिया, right? And you are very sure about these answers. So a bit of RC attempt is required, in my opinion, because not all of us have 100% accuracy, right? So that would be my suggestion. थोड़ा सा करना पड़ेगा RC attempt. Easy pick करो बिल्कुल. Pick up the easiest questions out there in the RCs. Okay? There are always 2-3 such questions even in that. Okay. So Harsh, yes, when you read the RC, simultaneously, this is a simultaneous process. Your brain simultaneously is processing what the author is trying to say, what is the purpose of the author behind writing the passage. Okay, so you don't really need some extra time for processing the main idea and the tone, right? And then you go to the questions, and of course, if they are based on a specific area, if the options come from a specific area, you have to go back. Okay, don't think of it as abhi to pada, I am not going back. Go back, reread that part. Okay, that's accuracy in short. All right. Okay, some attitude management tips very much required in that. See, always remember this, that even if a particular section is what you call your weak section, then also you do have some easy questions there. You just need to pick those easy questions. Okay. I remember Saral sir took a session yesterday, and I think he emphasized that DI is something that you can score from. So please don't ignore that, right? So for particularly for people for whom QA is weak, so data interpretation could actually be your savior there. Then you don't have to be phobic, right? I read this in certain comments. Students commented on my sessions that, okay, we have a VALR phobia. Okay, you don't have to be phobic as such. As I said, it's all a game of picking the right questions and applying your logic. RC passages in XAT are very critical reasoning oriented, very logic oriented. Okay, so just pick up 2-3 questions, 3-4 questions there. अगर आप 4 questions भी RCs में out of 12 सही कर रहे हो and you've attempted the other paper well, the other parts well, that's more than enough. Okay, with a 75% accuracy also, that's more than enough. Okay, so that's why you don't need to be scared as such, because that gives you ample opportunity to clear cutoffs. Difficult paper है, पर वैसे questions होंगे जिससे आपकी cutoffs clear हो जाएं. Those questions are there in sufficient number. Okay, so just focus on those questions in your weak areas, so-called weak areas. Also, see, it's difficult for everyone, not just for you. And that's why, accordingly, the overall score that they expect is also not that high. Okay, when let's say I compare it to a very easy exam, such as SNAP. Okay, I'm calling it very easy because I'm comparing it with that. So it's difficult for everyone and not just for you. That is a test of seeing how you navigate difficulties, right? So don't worry. That's the bottom line. And focus on accuracy. If you do, trust me, you will sail through. Just focus on that rather than being obsessed with time. Okay. Is it possible to score a 15 plus VA? Absolutely, it is absolutely possible. Last year, Srinivas sir scored a 15 plus in VALR. Okay, so it's absolutely possible. Right. Any suggestions for decision making? I have given that, Dark Gamer. Accuracy is low, so what should I do? Attempt all questions in verbal or attempt less questions? Um, okay. With a low accuracy, I think it makes more sense to have more questions attempted in your kitty. I hope it's not lower than 50%, right? So अगर थोड़ा कम accuracy है तो फिर थोड़ा सा attempts हमें ज़्यादा करना चाहिए. Given, and I'm also considering this part, that the negative is 0.25. The negative is 1/4 rather than, let's say, 1/3 in CAT. So if the accuracy is low, then attempts need to be thoda sa on the higher side. Okay. All right. Good number of attempts, it's a very subjective question, man. It depends on how much you are aiming. Okay, what you are aiming for. All right. So, just a second, just a second. Oh my God. It's like I'm pretty far behind in the chat box. Suddenly I realized this, that there are a lot of other queries. Let me just address them quickly. Will DM have calculations? You mean one analytical set? Usually, see, for the last 5 years, this has not been the case, so I'm not expecting it. But if at all, I think it would be one odd set and not more than that, right? Wrong tag questions. So, see, I can't brief it in 5 minutes, right? However, if there is one general rule that you want me to leave you with, that is, if the sentence is positive, meaning that it does not have any no or not, then the question tag needs a no or not. Okay, it's a beautiful day, isn't it? Okay, it is a beautiful day, positive, isn't it? So the question tag is going to be negative, and vice versa. If the sentence is negative, the question tag is positive. Okay, this does not look good, does it? This does not look good, does it? So negative, positive. So that's the most basic rule for question tags. Is it good to start with DM? Satyam, stick to the strategy that you've been following in the mocks. Okay, if it's working for you, go for it. If it's not, don't. All right, all right. So Ram Prasad, I can't. I mean, you can expect a good score, but exact percentile I can't predict it. Unfortunately, I'm not AI till now. I don't have any such tips that I can predict it. Devansh, yes, you can go by your ear, you can go by your instinct in case, let's say, you have been a reader. So, for instance, sometimes I do this, that in grammar vocabulary, I go by what sounds correct to me, but then your instinct should have worked for you in the past. It's not like that your instinct always goes wrong and still you're going by your instinct only in the exam. Okay, don't do that. Okay. What if we are not sure about the essay topic? See, out of three topics, trust me, there is going to be one that you are going to be sure about. Three topics is a good choice, right? A good amount of choice. So one of them is going to be such on which you'll be able to write. Plus, there are so many techniques to generate points for essays. So even if something tough comes up, you can look at it from the angle that, okay, which all parties are involved here, right? So is the government involved? Is it affecting me personally, right? Is it affecting students? Is it affecting teachers? Let's say it's an education issue. So who are the stakeholders? How is it affecting them? Write a bit about that, how it is affecting them, right? So PESTEL is something that you can follow. Key stakeholders approach is something that you can follow in essays, right? Who are the key stakeholders involved? And then you can discuss how it affects them and accordingly what your stance on the issue is, right? Then keyword approach. वर्ड्स तो समझ में मोस्टली आएंगे, राइट? किसी एक टॉपिक में तो आपको वर्ड समझ में आ जाएंगे, उन वर्ड्स के बारे में इलैबोरेट करो. सो essays, you don't have to, write and like you don't have to be an ace at essay, because they realize that in 15 minutes you can only think a lot, you can only write so much. 15-20 minutes जो जितना भी आप टाइम दोगे essays को, so you can only think so much, you can only write so much. So they just want to see, are you thoda sa bhi logical enough, right? And they just want some clear writing. Most of the times, as I think Gautam sir told you, that they don't even question you on it, right? So they just want something basic, something to be there, okay, and something not highly logical, highly extreme there. बहुत extreme points मत लिख कर आना, okay? That's what I would highly advise against. Okay, all right. So, see, I want to leave you with this thought that you're worthy of all that you desire for in life. Okay, not just this one exam, that, right? Anything that is your long-term goal, yes, getting into your dream B school, doing what you want to do after that, you're worthy of all of it. So, this fear, this nervousness, you can actually leave it behind if you are well prepared, right? And no matter what surprises the exam throws at you tomorrow, although we don't expect any major surprises now, even if it does, even if it comes out to be difficult, right? If you have prepared well, you need not fear. Okay, just have that faith in yourself, that confidence in yourself. By now, you've given so many tests, isn't it? So many other tests also you've taken, so you are prepared. Okay, so you are already worthy. You don't have to worry unnecessarily. Okay. Mm, Now, just looking at some other queries. Okay, to go with this, if not good with rules as such. Okay, Devansh, address this. Yes, not coming, Anirban, agreed. Ethical, moral-based dilemmas. Yes, not likely. Correct, correct. Banking on VLR and DM. Okay. Overall cutoffs. Okay, all right, all right. Okay. This is risky given that DM is unreliable. Uh, so Gaurang, it depends on how much you are scoring in quant. So kitna quant mein, what is your score, right? Then I'll be able to comment on it whether you're relying too much on VLR and DM or not, right? So I would not say that this is a bad approach. See, we all rely on our area of strength. So if VLR is your strength, you can absolutely rely on it. Okay, DM, yes, it's a little unreliable. That is there. So don't rely on DM too much as such. On the other two, you can rely. Okay. Uh, Not able to. Okay, okay. Focus on vocabulary, grammar, parajumbles, the shorter questions, Ashwin. That would be my suggestion, okay? And critical reasoning. When you become tired, that's a good question, Sham. Actually, there's a lot of fatigue that can set in a 3-hour paper. So, one is that you should have taken a lot of mocks, right? You should have by now got yourself acquainted, familiar with. You should have developed that stamina to sit for 3 hours. Okay. If you, let's say, tomorrow in the exam feel fatigued, then just relax for a while, as in sit back, take deep breaths, okay, stretch a bit because sometimes our back starts paining, particularly our shoulders and upper back. So this exercise helps me a lot. I do this exercise, okay, helps me. So whatever works for you at that point, breathing works for me, these a little bit of stretching works for me, so that's what I do, right? Okay. All right. Essay writing, Dark Gamer, that session has happened. You can watch that session. Last lap to Zad. Essay writing. Yes, Jasmine. I am also a Saral sir fan, so I do attend some of his lectures. Okay. I don't think he knows it though. All right. 300 words, but how to present through paragraphs. So Swagat, very easy. 300 words is such a short word limit, no, that you don't really have to worry a lot. 3 points socho किसी भी topic पे, 3 distinct points, whatever topic comes tomorrow. Okay. So for instance, if I say that physical education is the best way to eliminate obesity from India, think of 3 points. Think of your stance on it. Do you think it is the best way? Okay. If let's say you think it is the best way, why do you think it? Because let's say uh, it can, first of all, when I say physical education, that doesn't just involve practicals where you, let's say, exercise or play some sports. It also involves theory where you are educated about diet. So let's say you talk about what is the benefit of being informed about the right diet and then following it. Then that could be your one paragraph. 1 point, make it one paragraph. Follow this structure. Point, then your reason behind saying it. Okay, your reason behind saying it, that okay, it provides us with information on what a balanced diet is. How does that help me? Okay, how does that help me? So follow this point, reason, example structure. If you can give an example also. For instance, Indian food is rich in carbohydrates. Okay, it's very rich in carbohydrates, but that's not all that we need in terms of macronutrients. And a lot of times we stay deficient in terms of proteins. So if let's say a physical ed class educates me that see proteins are also important in the right amount, then I can actually improve my diet. Okay, and accordingly improve my health also. So what have I done here? Point, reason, example, ये structure मैंने follow किया. So 3 paragraphs for 3 points, one intro, one conclusion, and we are sorted. Okay. You will realize that you'll be able to complete 300 words, okay, in this structure. Okay. GK questions, no, they aren't. First is intro, last is closing, and then the middle one, I usually divide it into 3 parts, 3 clear points with 3 paragraphs. Okay. So I hope this helps. I have given you the tips to generate points, keyword approach, key stakeholders approach, pestle. Okay, to organize points, intro, the pre-structure for various points, conclusion. Okay. All right, all right. Anything else? Let me just quickly see. Present is done. Minimum time 45 to 50 minutes. Order for attempting DM sets. It absolutely depends on you what you find easy, right? I don't order them a lot unless and until I don't understand anything at all. अगर कुछ समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा किसी सेट में तब मैं उसको नहीं करती, अदरवाइज इतना कुछ ऑर्डरिंग में फॉलो नहीं करती डीएम में, right? Mocks, don't practice a full-fledged mock right now. Okay. All right. So, Palak, whatever strategy is working for you, stick to it. Okay, whatever strategy works, stick to it. Nachiket, this I also have to see because I don't think it was there last year, the word counter. Okay, so I really hope they do give it this time. Otherwise, you just count the number of words that fit in the first sentence, the first line, not the sentence, and then just multiply it. Just follow a rough approximate approach. Okay, or 300 से थोड़ा कम aim करो. Aim to write less than 300. Right? Aim, let's say, for a 280. You'll realize that you are, verging on 300 when you aim that. Welcome, guys. All the very best to all of you. Okay, keep calm and ace the test tomorrow. All my wishes are with you. Trust me that just tests your temperament. Okay, it gives you ample time. It does not pressurize you. It just wants to see how you navigate through some challenges. Okay, and will you be able to navigate through those challenges as managers in life? That's all that it is testing. Okay, so all the very best. Relax now. Don't worry a lot. Don't solve tests. That would be my suggestion to you. Okay, and do join us for a detailed analysis on the 8th. We'll give you everything about the exam, the good attempts, the difficulty level, all of that we'll discuss. Okay, so 7:30 p.m. do join us. Then if you haven't watched any of these sessions and you feel right watching them at this stage can help you, then watch these. You can watch some of these, right? We've conducted it for QA also and for DM also. This is our CAT 23 program. In case any of your friends are preparing for CAT 23, then they can enroll in this. Okay, a lot of features available here. And this is our CMAT program. No, it's not the program actually, it's an All India Open mock test. So in case you are planning to take the CMAT or you just want to see how the exam is, then you can, have that experience through this mock test. Also, for a CAT program, the CAT 2023 program that I just showed you, you can get a scholarship as well. So we have a test today itself at 7 p.m. It's a scholarship test, not a very difficult test, trust me. So if you perform well there, you can get up to a 90% scholarship there. Okay. Do stay connected. I hope you've subscribed to the channel, and I'll meet some of you again in TISNET classes in case you're taking TISNET. In case you aren't, it has been an absolute pleasure teaching you guys, right? I really get a lot of kick out of my YT sessions, and thank you so much for attending. Do subscribe to the channel so that you get notifications for our future sessions. We can stay connected via Telegram. I'm there on Telegram, right? Download the app also, the BYJU'S Exam Prep app, for more such informative sessions. Okay. All right then. Bye-bye. I'll see you then. Yes. In another session in case you're taking TISNET or in case some of you are preparing for CAT 23 also. Bye. Bye. Thank you for attending. Bye-bye. Welcome all of you.